Once upon a time, in a place that might have been Tuesday, or perhaps it was a color, there lived a cloud named Gerald. Gerald wasn't like the other clouds. He prepared to float upside down, which is, of course, exactly the same as right side up when you're a cloud. But Gerald didn't know that, and it made him feel special. Every morning, Gerald would wake up, even though clouds don't really sleep, and he would count the raindrops he hadn't dropped yet. Today, he counted 700 and blew, which seemed about right. One day, Gerald met a teacup. The teacup was walking through the sky on invisible legs made of Thursday afternoon. "Hello," said the teacup, in a voice that smelled like cinnamon. "Have you seen my handle? I seem to have misplaced it somewhere between yesterday and breakfast." Gerald thought about this carefully, which took several seconds and also 3 years. "I haven't seen your handle," he replied, "but I once knew a saucer who collected forgotten echoes. Perhaps your handle is there, in the place where whispers go to rest." The teacup thanked him by humming the color purple and continued walking upward, which in the sky is the same as any direction, really. Gerald floated on, past a flock of sleeping numbers. The numbers were migrating south for the winter. Even though numbers don't migrate and it was summer, but the numbers didn't mind. They were dreaming of being letters, and who can blame them? The number 7 waved at Gerald. 7 was always the friendliest, possibly because it looked good from any angle. Gerald waved back, even though clouds don't have hands, but somehow the gesture was understood. Soon, Gerald arrived at the garden of melted clocks, where time went to stretch and yawn and forget what it was supposed to be doing. In the garden, there was a bench made of soft moss and the sound of rain that hadn't fallen yet. Gerald decided to rest there for a moment, which lasted 3 minutes, or possibly a few years. Time was very relaxed in this garden. Sitting on the bench was a cat. The cat was knitting with moonbeams, creating a scarf that would never be finished because it was really already complete, even though it hadn't been started yet. "Excuse me," whispered Gerald, "but do you know the way to the library of unread dreams?" The cat looked up, with eyes that were both open and closed. "Oh yes," thought the cat, "it's right through that door over there, the one that isn't there." Gerald looked where the cat wasn't pointing, and sure enough, there was a door made entirely of the feeling you get when you remember something you never forgot. "Thank you," said Gerald, and he floated the Inside the library, everything was quiet, the way midnight sounds in a snow globe. Shelves stretched up forever, or maybe just for a few feet. It was hard to tell because perspective had taken a day off. The books on the shelves had titles like The Complete History of Tomorrow and How to Remember Things That Never Happened, and a comprehensive guide to comfortable silence. Gerald browsed slowly, running his cloudy fingers along the spines. Each book hummed a different lullaby, very quietly, just under the tension of hearing. He pulled out a book at random. It was titled The Encyclopedia of Pleasant Nonsense. He opened it, and the pages were blank, but somehow full of the most wonderful stories. Stories about many different things. A grandfather clock that ran backwards on Sundays, not to reverse time, but just because it enjoyed the view. A garden where flowers bloomed in the key of E flat, and bees collected not pollen but tiny particles of contentment. A river that flowed in circles because it was too polite to pick just any direction. Gerald settled into a reading chair. That was actually a very patient sheep. The sheep didn't mind. It enjoyed being helpful. And besides, it was having a lovely dream about doing exactly what it was doing. As Gerald read, the words began to dissolve like sugar and tea, mixing with the soft silence, until there was no difference between the story and the peaceful feeling of just being. Time passed, but very gently, the way of a feather falls when no one is watching. Outside the library, or perhaps inside, because those distinctions were quite optional here, a butterfly made of whispered secrets landed on a flower that smelled like the color of Tuesday. The butterfly's wings opened and closed in the rhythm of a heartbeat slowing down, ready for sleep. Each flutter said, "It's okay. You don't need to understand. Just rest. Just breathe. Just be." Gerald closed the book, which closed itself. Or maybe it was never open. He thanked the librarian, who was actually just a gentle breeze, wearing reading glasses. The breeze smiled in the way breezes do, by rustling some pages peacefully, and whispered, "Come back anytime. We are always closed, which means we are always open." Gerald floated back out, through the door that wasn't there, past the cat, still knitting eternity into something cozy, through the gate of melted clocks, where time was taking a long bath and thinking about nothing in particular. The sky was now the color of sleep, that deep, soft shade. Somewhere disappear? It was hard to say, and it didn't matter. Gerald found his favorite spot, in a corner of the sky that was quiet and calm. He settled there, among the other clouds, who were all sleeping, or pretending to sleep, or doing something that was neither, but very peaceful. And as Gerald closed his eyes, which clouds don't have, but the intention was there, he thought about all the nonsensical things he'd seen today. The teacup looking for its handle, the migrating numbers, the cat knitting with moonbeams, the library of unread dreams. None of it made sense. And that was perfectly, wonderfully, absolutely fine. Because sometimes the best stories are the ones that don't go anywhere, that don't mean anything, that simply exist, like a soft blanket, or a gentle breath, or the quiet moment between one thought and the next. And so Gerald drifted into that space where clouds go, when they are not being clouds anymore, just part of the sky, part of the night,